Welcome back, everyone. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at frame size, clip content, column numbers, and grid systems. So let's begin. So in order to get started with the framing tool, first we need to select it. So here on the top toolbar over here, this is our framing tool. So if we simply left click over here or use the keyboard shortcut F, then we can start with the framing tool. Now, once we select the frame tool on the right hand side, if you notice, there are some preset options that show up. So these are the different dimensions for tablets and phones and desktop settings. So for our purposes, we're going to select the desktop over here. And so this is our first frame. And we can obviously rename this. So you can double click over here and rename it. And then we can change if once we have selected the frame, we can still change the frame size. So on the at the right side over here, so this top drop down menu, we have these different options. So these show up as well. So we can change them as well from here. And we can definitely change them manually, so we can simply left click and drag like this. So any edge we can left click and drag, and we can also keep the proportions by simply holding down the shift key. So if we hold down the shift key, this will keep the original proportions. And then on the right hand side design tab, we have these W and H boxes. So this is the width and this is the height, so we can definitely change it from here, and this is how it's done. And then now we're going to take a look at the clip content settings over here. So the clip content setting is basically that it allows us to visually cut off any part that's inside our frame but outside of its bounding box. So what that means is, so if I select this frame, so this is a mobile design app, you can see that these images, they are inside this frame, but they're outside of the bounding box. So this left, right edge and left edge, so these are the bounding boxes of this specific frame. Now if I select the entire frame, and you can see that the clip content box is not enabled right now. So if I check it and enable it, so you can see that these we cannot see these images anymore. If I scroll down over here, so you can see that this is the overflow scroll box. So here we still have those images. So if I simply select this, you can see that it's still there and it's inside of this frame. So if I simply select the frame and increase the bounding size, so you can see that the objects are still inside of my frame. They're only outside of the bounding box. So this is the clip content setting, and this lets us, and now I can bring in new objects over here. So this lets me optimize my spacings, so I can have other objects over here.
At this point, I'm going to discuss about the grid system and the column system. Grid system or column system is something that's been used by the designers all over the world, and it helps designer to place the elements in the frame in a very systematic manner so that it aligns every element and synchronizes the design in a particular manner. So it is a very simple thing to do. So before I start, let's pick a frame first, and I'm gonna use the default desktop frame size. Now let's click on this button says layout grid. So by default you will get a grid system, but for now I'll start with columns. So I'm gonna put 12 column, 120 margin, and 24 pixel gutter. Okay, now let's discuss what is what here. Column number is pretty obvious. As you can see, it has 12 columns. Margins are these two gaps both sides of the 12 columns, and the gutter is the space between the columns. So all clear now? Okay, now using the column system you can very easily place your element inside the design. So let's just very quickly design something. As you can see, I'm aligning my element into the grid system, and it is gonna fit perfectly. Right, as you can see, everything is aligned perfectly and it is looking very neat and clean. Okay, now let's get into the grid system. So for that, I'll convert this group into a frame for now. And again, I'm going to click on layout grid. So by default, it's 10. So I have to change it. So let's just copy a line. It's a very simple trick that I'm showing you. There is a calculation going on, but I'm not going to get into that. So just go for the simple solution for now. This particular single line has a height of 27 right here. So I'm going to put 27 as my grid number. Simple, right? That's it. Now all I have to do just align my lines according to that. So as it is a separate paragraph, so I'm going to uh, skip one grid and place it right here, and it's going to align, right? Something like this. So as you can see, already it's looking very neat and clean. Okay, by following the grids, you can also create a space in the second paragraph, and the overall design will look well harmonized and well synchronized by itself using the column and the grid system